I am Kiranpreet Kaur from Makkar IELTS, and the graph which I have come up with today was seen on the 7th March 2020 in the academic IELTS writing test in India. This graph is graph number 154 in my book, IELTS Graphs from the Past Exams. This graph was earlier reported, I exactly don't remember when, but the figures were a bit different yesterday when one of my students reported. So I changed these figures and have rewritten this graph today. The given table compares the percentage of both genders employed in retail, health, manufacturing, and tourism between 1990 and 2010. So you can see this is a one sentence intro, and this is a paraphrasing of the question. You can see the question. The table below shows the percentage of men and women workers in different types of industries in 1990, 2000, and 2010. So here I've given the given table compares. Instead of shows, I've written the word compares. The percentage of both genders, men and women, I've written both genders, employed in, workers in, employed in. Then I've named these industries. Yeah, here it is written different types of industries. I've named them in the question: retail, health, manufacturing, and tourism between 1990 and 2010. So here I've given between and I've not mentioned 1 year in between, and here all the 3 years are mentioned. So this is a paraphrasing of the question in the topic. Then we come to the overview. Overall, it can be seen that manufacturing had the highest share of male employment, while tourism had the highest share of female employment. So here you can see manufacturing had the highest share of male employment. Here you can see highest in all the 3 years. The percentage is the highest. And then tourism. You can see tourism. It had the highest share of female employment. Also, with time, the proportion of women employment saw a rise, while the proportion of men employees mostly fell. Male employees mostly fell. So you can say with time, the proportion of women employment saw a rise. So you can see 7, 8, 9, 9, 11, 15. So it's on the rise. 7, 8, 3. This is one exception. 23, 25, 27. Mostly it is on the rise. And here you can see mostly this is same here. This is rise, but this is a fall and this is a fall. So proportion of male employees mostly fell, but the proportion of women employment saw a rise. In detail, the proportion of men employed in health stood at 7%. The proportion of men employed in health stood at 7% in 1990, while the figure for women was 9%. Both these sectors witnessed an increase, and in 2010, the proportions for men and women proportion for men and women was 9% and 15% respectively. By contrast, the proportion of employees in manufacturing fell among both the genders. So here from 30 to 10, and from here in here this from 7 to 3. By contrast, the proportion of employees in manufacturing fell among both the genders. 30% of the men and 7% women were employed in manufacturing in 1990, but in 2010 the figures were 10% for men and 3% for women. In retail, the proportion of male employees remained stable at 13% over the 2 decades. So it is in retail, the proportion of male employees remained stable at 13% over the 2 decades, whereas the proportion of women rose from 7 to 9% during the same period. In tourism also, the proportion rose for women. The proportion rose for women from 23 to 27%, whereas the proportion for men fell slightly by 3%. That is from 13% in 1990, fell slightly by 3%. That is from 13% in 1990 to 10% by 2010. So this is the graph, and this is the explanation. Now I'll be translating it in Hindi. जो दिया गया टेबल है ये कंपेयर करता है परसेंटेज दोनों जेंडर्स की जो कि एम्प्लॉयड थे रिटेल, हेल्थ, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और टूरिज़्म 1990 और 2010 के बीच में। ओवरऑल ये देखा जा सकता है कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में मेन ज़्यादा एम्प्लॉयड थे, टूरिज़्म में विमेन ज़्यादा एम्प्लॉयड थी एंड समय के साथ विमेन एम्प्लॉयमेंट जो है वो बढ़ी है, जबकि मेल्स की एम्प्लॉयमेंट कम हुई है। डिटेल में अगर मैप के बारे में देखना है, जो प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ मैन एम्प्लॉयड इन हेल्थ है वो 7% था 1990 में, और विमेन 9% थी 1990 में, और दोनों में हल्का सा इंक्रीज़ हुआ, ये 7 से 9 हो गया और ये 9 से 15 हो गया। बाय कंट्रास्ट जो प्रोपोर्शन है एम्प्लॉयज़ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में दोनों में गिरी है, मेल्स में और फीमेल्स में। 30% ऑफ मैन एंड 7%, 30% मेल्स एंड 7% फीमेल्स जो थी वो एम्प्लॉयड थी इन 1990, पर 2010 में ये 10 पे आ गया और ये फिगर 3 पे आ गई। फिर रिटेल की बात करें तो प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ मेल एम्प्लॉयज़ जो थे वो रिमेन स्टेबल, वो स्टेबल रहे 13% पे ओवर द 2 डेकेड्स। दो दहाकों के ये 2 दहाके हो गए ना, 2 डेकेड्स इज़ 1990 टू 2001 डेकेड एंड 2000 टू 2010 इज़ 2 डेकेड्स। सो ओवर 2 डेकेड्स इनकी प्रोपोर्शन स्टेबल रही, वेयर एज प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ विमेन एम्प्लॉयज़ रोज फ्रॉम 7 to 9%। ये 7 से 9 हो गई। इन टूरिज़्म ऑल्सो प्रोपोर्शन जो थी विमेन की वो राइज़ की फ्रॉम 23 to 27, वेयर एज जो मैन की प्रोपोर्शन थी वो स्लाइटली फॉल करी फ्रॉम 13 to 10। सो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर वॉचिंग पेशेंटली। दिस इज़ ग्राफ नंबर 154 पर जो पहले मेरे पास ग्राफ था उसमें थोड़ी सी फिगर्स डिफरेंट थी, मैंने आज इसको रीराइट करा है, बट इट इज़ ऑन द सेम पैटर्न। एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर वॉचिंग पेशेंटली।